Good morning, students. Welcome back to online class on Java programming. In our last class, we have concluded the syllabus for CSC students, and we said we left out with a few of the topics like your servlets, Java's collection framework, and applets, JDBC. So these things we try to cover from now on. I'll be posting like three classes from now on. So in each class, I'm going to cover one topic. So in today's session, we will be discussing about the collection framework, and in my next session, servlets, and in the last session, we will be discussing the applets and JDBC. Okay. All these things we will do one by one. So let's just move ahead and see what we have to discuss in today's session. Uh, the collections. It is the concept in third unit for IT students. Uh, the other utility classes like string tokenizer, date calendar, scanner, and IO package, IO classes, stream classes, byte stream, character stream, and serialization. The second part of your third unit we have already completed, and the thing which is pending is the first part of your third unit, collections framework, that we need to discuss in today's session. Okay, so collections in Java. So the name itself giving the meaning of this topic. So when I say a collection, it is a group, more than one entity or more than one element. Whenever you have such a thing to say, we use the term collection. Okay, so collection in Java, when we are using this term, the meaning is same. If you want to use more than one element, like in your program, then we go for a collection. So your array is the best example for collection, which we already know and which we already used many times. So array is a collection. Okay. So this collection framework, so in order to group the elements and to use the elements in programming, we have done in our last semester a concept called data structures. Okay, data structures we studied, where what we are doing in general, we are grouping multiple elements, we are storing multiple elements as a single group, whether it may be a stack, whether it may be a queue, a linked list, a tree, a graph, whatever type of data structure you take. In all those data structures, what we are doing, we are grouping the elements together. So here in Java, grouping of elements, it can be achieved through collections. Okay, the collection in Java is a framework, so we need to understand the meaning of this term framework as well, so that we are going to do very soon. Okay, the collection in Java is a framework that provides an architecture to store and manipulate the group of objects. As I said, in order to have a collection, a group, we are going for this collections. Okay, Java collection can achieve all the operations that you perform on a data, such as, whenever we are creating a collection, so generally what if we have a collection, we are expecting certain operations on that collection. Like from that collection, if you are looking, if you are searching for an element, so the collection should support the searching operation, and if they are an unordered elements, then the collection should support sorting of those elements. And if you want to add more elements to that collection, so the collection should support the insertion. And if you want to do some calculations on the elements, so the collection should support the manipulation. If you want to remove the elements from the collection, then the collection should support the deletion operation. So these are the basic operations which we are expecting from the collection. So whenever we are grouping the elements or whenever we are combining the elements together, more number of elements together, we are expecting these type of operations on the group, on the collection. Okay. So when you are grouping, when you are adding multiple elements together as a single entity, so that element or that entity will be treated like a single entity only. So Java collection means a single unit of object. So even though you are adding multiple elements, more than one element into your collection, into your group, that entire group will be treated like a single object. Okay, single unit of object. So this thing you have to remember. So we said, we have seen, when you are creating a stack, inside a stack we are keeping more number of elements, but in our consideration that stack entirely will be treated like a single entity, isn't it, like a single unit. Same thing in case of linked list. Inside a linked list, what we are doing, we are grouping, we are collecting more number of elements. With the help of links, we are joining those more number of elements together. But if you consider, I mean, how we are considering that entire linked list means like a single unit only we are considering. Okay. So whenever we say an API or whenever we say a framework, it is going to have many interfaces and many classes associated in that, so that you can perform different operations, okay, based on your requirement or based on your application usage, application requirement. We are going to use any of these classes or any of these interfaces into the implementation. So inside Java's collection framework, we have many interfaces like set, list, queue, okay, dequeue. These are some of the interfaces, and we also have many classes. Okay, you must know the difference between an interface and a class before we go into this concept. Okay, interface in the sense it is going to have only the uh, abstract classes. Okay, sorry, abstract methods. It is not going to have the concrete methods. When we say the class, it is going to have only the concrete methods, but no abstraction, no abstract methods. Okay. So classes in the sense, yeah, classes, what type of classes we have in collection framework in the sense, we have array list, we have vector class, linked list class, priority queue, hash table, linked hash set, and tree set. These are some of the examples. And if you see our syllabus, we are not going to discuss all these things, rather we discuss a few of them. Okay, like the collection classes, I mean the overview and the purpose, we will come to know. Then we need to discuss about the classes like array list, linked list, hash set, tree set. Then we need to discuss about the interfaces like list, set, okay, and accessing collection via iterator, how we are going to do, and working with map, legacy classes like vector, hash table, and stack, dictionary. All these things we are going to discuss. Okay, and enumeration also we are going to discuss. Enumeration is nothing but it is the a very generalized way, we can say a very generalized way of grouping the elements. Like if you want, if you in general, whenever we go for multiple elements, what we do, we start counting them, isn't it? We start counting them, how many elements we have. The first basic requirement when we go for multiple entities is to have the count handy. Suppose if you are carrying something, let us assume if you are carrying some books, so how many books you are carrying, so that question may rise at any point of time. So without, I mean, so that we can't lose the entities, or so that we can't lose the elements, what we do initially is we'll maintain a count of those objects or a count of those entities. So enumeration is the best way of maintaining the group of elements, or we can say the very generalized way of collection is your enumeration. Okay, this is provided in collections framework like an interface. So about this enumeration interface also we need to discuss. So with that we conclude today's session. Okay, I'm not going to give the explanation on each of these classes or on each of these interfaces. Rather, we practice one or two with programming examples, because as you know, if I start doing programming, it will take more time. Okay, before I give the conclusion, it will take more time, and the class may go like 1 hour, 1.5 hour. So it will go very lengthy. Okay, I don't want to do that. So instead, what we do, we will have the complete overview on this collections framework, which is important, and we discuss one or two classes or one or two interfaces. Then we'll go with this enumeration and we'll conclude our lecture. Okay, so quickly, uh, yes. What is a collection in Java? Already I said it is a group, or it is being a group. It will be represented like a single entity or a single unit of objects. Okay, a collection represents a single unit of objects, that is like a group. Okay, this is a collection. And what is framework in Java? See, framework in the sense the ready-made stuff. Okay, ready-made architecture. Suppose take the example of your data structures. If you need a stack in data structures, I'm not talking about the standard template libraries or STLs. If you don't go for STLs, what we do over there in order to use a stack or in order to use a what we call a linked list, we will do the implementation, complete implementation we will do, isn't it? Complete coding we will do. But here in Java, as we have the framework, the ready-made architecture, we don't go for implementation. Directly, a class is there with name stack, a class is there with name linked list. Just we take the name of that class, and with the help of that name of the class, we create the instance of that class in our program, and we start adding elements to the stack, or we start adding elements to the linked list likewise. Okay, so no need to go for implementation as the complete code is ready. So that's the reason whenever we say a framework, you remember, you assume it like a ready-made architecture. Okay, your framework will provide you with ready-made architecture, so that the code will become implementation free. Okay, if you want to use a stack in your Java program, no need to do the complete implementation of a stack. Directly you can do with the help of the framework which is already there. Okay, framework is nothing but a class, a suitable class for stack, a suitable class for linked list, a suitable class for array list likewise. Okay, it represents a set of classes and interfaces. As I said, framework is nothing but it is a set of classes and interfaces, flexible in doing the implementation. Okay, and it is more or less like optional. It is not mandatory that you have to go with the framework only. Whenever you need a stack, if you want to do the implementation from your side, you can do it. Okay, you can do it. If the ready-made stuff is not suitable for your requirement, then the best way is to do the stuff from your side. Okay, so if you don't want to use the stack which is readily available inside the Java's collection framework, then you can do the implementation of that stack by your own. Okay, same thing for other data structures. Like if you want linked list and you don't want to use from the framework, then you can do the implementation of linked list. Okay, so the use, I mean, the framework usage in the application, it is completely optional. Okay, so these 3 points you have to remember with respect to your framework, term framework in Java. Okay, what is a collections framework? So the collections framework represents a unified architecture for storing and manipulating a group of objects. Okay, so generally in Java, the collections framework is nothing but it provides the classes, it provides the interfaces which are helpful in the development of different data structures in Java. So those data structures which are helpful in in grouping the objects. Okay, generally whenever we do the implementation of a data structure, for the grouping purpose only we do. So collections framework, it also do the same for us. It will group the elements for us. It will create the collection for us. Depending upon our requirement, we can opt for any of the feasible what we call collection, any of the feasible class or feasible interface from the collections framework. So the collections framework is nothing but it is going to have the interfaces and its implementation. So generally whenever we are talking about a package or whenever we are talking about a API, it is a collection of interfaces and its implementation. First we'll have the abstract part, then we have the implementation part. Okay, and for some cases, for some instances, we will have only the abstraction, only the abstract part. Then we have to do the implementation, we have to provide the implementation for such abstractions. Okay, and your Java's collection framework is of that same type, is it is also a collection of different interfaces and as well as the classes, inbuilt classes. Okay, so classes means implementations and interface means abstraction. Remember this one. Interface means abstraction, classes means implementations. And apart from the interfaces and apart from the classes to support the framework, we also have the algorithms. Algorithms is nothing but the way a particular data structure will work. So suppose if it is a stack, we know that on a stack we can perform the insertion and deletion only at one end, isn't it? And that end is known as top of the stack. From the top of the stack only we can insert and we can remove the elements, and that insertion and deletion will be performed in LIFO fashion, last in first out fashion. Okay, so all these things we know, that the procedure in which you can operate on a stack is nothing but the algorithm of a stack. So your collections framework is not only the collection of different interfaces and classes, but also the ideas, or but also the algorithms in which you can perform the insertion, deletion, okay, searching, sorting, whatever operation you want to perform on that particular data structure. The way how you are performing those operations is nothing but the algorithms. Okay, so remember this one. What is the collections framework? In the sense, it is the combination of all these things. It is the combination of interfaces and the implementations. Those are nothing but the classes and also the algorithms. Okay. Yes, hierarchy of collections framework. Yeah, in our next slide, we have the complete hierarchy of different classes and how these classes are related with one another, and the interfaces, how those interfaces are related to one another. Uh, those things we will see. Okay, and all these classes, okay, whatever classes we are talking about here under collections framework, they are part of your java.util package. Okay, where we have the collection framework classes, in the sense under java.util package only we have. The java.util package contains all the classes and interfaces from the for the collection framework. Okay, this is the hierarchy of the classes. As you can see at the top, we have the iterable interface. See, whatever we represented in blue color, that is interface, and whatever we represented in green color, that is the class. And if it is the arrow without any arrow with dots, as you can see here, this one, arrow with a dotted arrow which represents the implementation, and the solid arrow which represents the extension. Okay, so wherever you have the this solid arrow, it represents extends, and wherever you have this dotted arrow, it represents implements. Remember this difference. So in order to understand this complete hierarchy, we need to have that legend in our mind that I have given this side. Okay, blue for interface, green for class, and dotted arrow is for implements, and the solid arrow for extents. Okay, so iterable interface we have at the top. So whatever methods we have in this iterable interface, those methods will be available in all the interfaces and in all the classes. So if it is an interface, there is no guarantee that we are going to see the implementation, or we are going to see the what we call abstract method, implementation or abstract method. But if it is a class and you are seeing that method in that class, that means it is going to have the implementation, because whenever it extends or whenever it implements, a concrete class, whenever it implements an interface, it is guaranteed that all the implementations are provided. Okay, and we are not going to zero abstraction we are going to have inside this class. Okay, that is the meaning of this bottommost classes. Topmost interfaces in the sense zero implementation and all abstractions. Okay, zero implementations and all abstractions. And if you see a class means all implementations, zero abstractions. You have to remember this one. Okay, so here collection interfaces. The collection interface at the top we have, after this iterable interface, we have the collection interface, and we are talking about this collection interface over here in this slide. So the collection interface is the interface which implemented by all the classes in the collection framework. Whatever classes we have, whatever class you take, it is inheriting from collection interface only. Either directly or indirectly, it is inheriting the collection interface. So it is going to have, I mean, all the classes in our collections framework are going to have the methods which are defined, I mean, which are declared inside the collection framework. Sorry, collection interface. So the collection interface is the interface which is implemented by all the classes in the collection framework. It declares the method that every collection will have. Whatever collection we declare, whatever collection we use, whatever collection we create in Java programming, those collections are going to have the classes, I mean the methods which are defined by the collection interface, which are declared by the collection interface. In other words, we can say that the collection interface builds the foundation, or the complete framework. It is built on the foundation of the collection interface. So the complete collections framework is dependent on this collection interface only, because this is the foundation, we can say, or this is the basic building block, we can say, for the collection framework. Okay, some of the methods of collection interface are add method we have. Okay, add method we have, then add all method we have. In our next slide we have the complete listing. Then clear method to remove all the elements from the collection. Okay, and all these methods are declared inside the collection interface. So here inside the collection interface, when we are talking about these methods, they are abstractions. They are not going to have any body, they are just declared. But if you see the bottom classes, okay, which are implementing this collection interface, if you see the bottom classes, like take the example of ArrayList class. ArrayList class is here and it is implementing the collection interface. So here whatever methods we are going to have inside collection interface, all those methods will be will be inherited by the list class. I'm sorry, list interface. This is also an interface. So being an interface, this list is also not providing any implementation for the classes, for the methods given by the collection interface. So now list interface is also having the abstraction, and that abstraction is implemented by the ArrayList class. So when it is implementing, you can directly create the instance of this ArrayList class, or you can take the instance of any of these two interfaces, and you can instantiate that instance with the help of this ArrayList class, and you can use that instance in further processing. Very soon when we do the practical, when we do the programming, we will understand those things. So here these are the methods which are abstract inside the collection interface, like add method, add all method, remove method, remove all method, then remove if, with a condition also we can remove if. All these are some of the example methods available inside the example abstract methods, we have to say, because they are not going to have any implementations, they are not going to have any body, they are just going to have the declarations. Okay, or we can say the abstract methods. Okay, so the collection interface, it is going to have all these methods. And then we have the iterator interface, which is not part of our class hierarchy, our class and interface hierarchy, which I have shown in my previous slide. So the iterator interface, it facilitates of iterating the elements only in the forward direction. If you want to iterate, okay, whenever we have a collection, like take an example of array. If you have an array, it is not possible, it is not possible to access the elements if you don't move back and forth. inside that array. Using index, what we are doing, we are moving back and forth inside the array. In that same way, if it is a collections object, if it is an collections if it is a collection, it is meaningless to have a collection if we can't move back and forth inside that collection. And who facilitate that moving back and forth to access the elements, in the sense, this iterator interface. So all the classes, all the interfaces by default, they are inheriting this iterator interface. Okay, methods of the iterator interface, we have has next, we have next, and we have remove. Three methods we have. Has next, what it will do, it will check whether the collection is having more elements or not. Okay, in the processing, when you are moving in the forward direction, in the processing, it will simply check the next element. If the next element is existing, it will return true, and if the next element is not existing, it will return false. Okay, next will also do the same thing, it returns the element. Okay, has next will check for the existence of the elements, so that's the reason it is returning a boolean value. But next, what it will do, it will simply push the current element, return the current element and push one location in the forward direction. Okay, move one location in the forward direction. So next, it is returning the object and it is moving in the forward direction. Then remove, what it will do, it will simply remove the last element. Okay, it removes the last elements returned by the iterator. It is less used, we are rarely going to use this remove in our implementation. Okay, so the iterable interface, the topmost interface in the collections framework hierarchy. So the framework which I have shown in my previous slide, okay, it is having the collection, iterator framework, iterable interface at the top. So all the interfaces, all the classes, they are extending, all the interfaces they are implementing, as you can see in this diagram. Iterable interface, it exists in all the classes and interfaces of the collections framework class. So iterable interface is the root interface for all the collection classes. Basically, at the top level or at the intermediate level, you may have the interfaces, but at the bottom level, at the leaf level, if we have the interface, means we are not entertaining, we are not giving permission to any of the abstract method implementations. So whatever framework you check, go and check. Initially, at the root level, we are going to have the interfaces, but as you go down, when you reach the bottom, when you reach the leaf, there we will be must and should to have the classes only, so that we can get that implementation working. Okay, because we know that interface we cannot instantiate, but whereas a class we can instantiate. And if you have interfaces at the bottom level also, at the what we call the down level, or at the leaf level, if you have the interfaces, we can't instantiate the interfaces, so we can't get the functionality. So having the interfaces at the bottom level is meaningless. So that's the reason, as you go down in any hierarchy of classes, hierarchy of classes and interfaces, as you go down, at the bottom we will have classes, and at the top we will have only the interfaces. Okay, so the collection interface extends the iterable interface, and therefore all the subclasses of collection interface also implement the iterable interface. Okay, if your collection, of course, the collection being an interface, it will not give any implementation. It is the responsibility of the classes which are inheriting from the what collection interface to give the implementation for not only the methods which are there inside collection interface, but also the methods which are there in iterable interface, because the collection interface is the sub interface to the iterator interface. And the bottom classes, if they are extending, if they are implementing the collection interface, they have to give the implementation for the methods which are available inside the iterable interface also. It contains only one abstract method. Your iterable interface, it contains only one abstract method, that is iterator. It retains the iterator over the elements of type T. So whatever collection we are creating, to move back and forth onto that collection, we need an iterator object, and this iterator method will return the iterator object so that you can perform the moving operation, moving back and forth on a collection. Okay. So the first type of interface which we have inside the collections framework after your iterator and collection interface, we have the list interface. So list is the child interface of collection interface. It inhibits a list type data structure, so in which we can store the ordered collection of object. List means we can store only the ordered collection. We can't store the unordered collection. Okay, remember this one. Whenever we are going for a list, we will store only the ordered collection of elements into that list. So it can have duplicate values. Okay, you may have duplicate values. I mean, more than one value of same count or same constant we can have, but they will be in order. Okay. List interface is implemented by the classes ArrayList, Vector, and Stack. We need to discuss any of these classes, any one of these classes. So we will go with the ArrayList class. So directly being an interface, list, it can't be instantiated directly. So in order to instantiate the list interface, what we need? We need the constructors of child classes. We need the constructors of child classes. So we already seen. So list interface is implemented by different classes like ArrayList class, linked list class, vector class, and stack class. So here, as you can see, we are creating the object of list class here, list class object, list interface object reference we are creating, but instantiation we are doing with the help of the child classes like ArrayList, linked list, vector, stack. With the help of child classes we are doing. There are various methods which are declared inside the list class that can be used. What purpose we use those methods, in the sense, in order to insert the elements into the list, to delete and to access the elements from the list. We will make use of those methods. So one by one we will see what methods we have inside the list interface, and those are not going to have any implementation because list is an interface and it is going to have only the abstraction. So these subclasses we have for the list interface, like ArrayList, linked list, vector, stack, and queue interfaces. Okay, queue interface is also there, which is an list, which is an sub interface to the list interface. So we will see the ArrayList class. We will see only one class. The rest of them you can practice because the concept is very similar, and hardly we have one or two differences between each of these classes. So that's the reason we are not going with each one of the we are not going with the explanation of each one of these classes. Rather, I will explain only the ArrayList class, and then we go for the other type of interfaces. Okay. So the ArrayList, it is the subclass of your list interface, or we can say the ArrayList class, it is implementing the list interface. It uses the dynamic array to store duplicate elements of different data type. Okay. Array, it is like a collection, but inside this collection we are going to have different data type elements. Okay. The ArrayList class maintains the insertion order, and it is non-synchronized, so you cannot synchronize the objects which are which you create for this ArrayList class, because it is not implementing the synchronized interface. Okay, the elements stored in this ArrayList class can be randomly accessed. So if you want to access the elements randomly, you can do the access. With the help of a program, we will see how we achieve everything. Okay, this is the best example, or a simple example, where we are using the ArrayList class for creating an array list, and we are storing different objects into that class, and using the iterator we are accessing the elements from that ArrayList class. So quickly, without wasting much of the time, I will open my Edit Plus. Okay. So in this Edit Plus, I will take the, I will close this one. I will take the new Java. So I need to import the util package, as all my classes and interfaces for this Java's collection framework are part of my util package. So import java.util. ArrayList. Okay, we will import all. or you can go with specific also, because I'm using multiple interfaces and multiple classes. As you can see over here, I'm using array list, I'm using list, and I'm using iterator. Different things I'm using over here, different interfaces, different classes I'm using over here. And that's the reason I'm not going directly with the specific class, rather I'm importing the complete package. So here what we are doing, test array list demonstration demo. So with that same name, I need to save my program. So go to file, then click on save, put this name dot java, hit enter, program got saved now. Okay, next thing what I have to do, inside my PSVM, create the array list object. See, when you are creating the array list, at that time only you have to specify what type of elements you want to store into that collection. So that we put between angular brackets. Okay, between angular brackets you put the type of elements that you want to store inside that array list. Okay, so if you create this array list with strings, now you can store only the strings into that array list. Different data types, we said, it doesn't mean that at the same time you can store the different data types. It is not possible. Like an array, it is going to have homogeneous data elements at any time, but it can hold, the array list is capable of holding different types of data elements, but not at the same time. Remember this one. Okay. Yes, I want to store string into that one. Then I'm taking the name as lt. Okay, list. Then use the new keyword and call the constructor to allocate the memory. And when we are calling the constructor, there also we have to specify the type. Now my list is ready. Okay, now using this lt, I can add object into this array list. Lt is the reference to my array list. So an array list will be created, and using that lt, I can add any number of elements into this array list. Okay, so this is dynamic in size. So lt dot add. Okay, lt dot add of, give the name. The name I'm giving like John. Okay, then add another element, lt dot add of Albert. Okay, then add another element, lt dot add of John again, because we said it will hold the duplicate elements as well. Okay, then lt dot add of the last element is like take David or something. Okay, close it. Now the list is created, and array list is created. If you want to move back and forth, or if you want to access the elements from this list, we need an iterator object, because iterator interface is responsible for performing that type of operations. Okay, and we need to create an iterator object, and we need to call the iterator method, because iterator is an interface, so you can't instantiate that interface directly. Okay, so interface object directly. So iterator itr is equals to lt dot iterator. Yes, lt dot iterator method we can call. Iterator method we can call. Okay, iterator iterator method we can call. At the end, put the semicolon. Now the iterator object is also there, so that we can move back and forth on the list. So yeah, from the beginning till the end, we are going to read the elements from the array list. So itr dot has next we will call. Has next method, it is available inside the iterator interface. So what it will do, it will check for the availability of next element. It will start from the beginning of the array list, and it will check for the availability of the next element. So if your array list is something like this, okay, if your array list is something like this, and how many elements we stored inside that array list? 4 elements, right? So 1 2 3 4, those 4 elements will be stored like this: 1 2 3 4. So first the iterator will start from this point, and it will check for the availability of the next element. If our next element is available, it will return true, and the while loop will iterate. If this thing returns true, the while loop will iterate. It will go to the next element in the next iteration, and it will check for the next. If the next element is available, it will return true. Same thing from here to here, it will check available, true. From here to here, it will check available, true. From here to here, it will check not available, so it will return false. Likewise, it will return true 4 times so that we can read 4 elements from that array list. Hopefully you understood how this array list will, how this iterator will work, because this iterator is one of the important interface, and what are the all the methods we have inside this. Those methods are also very important, and mostly we are going to use these two methods only from the iterator interface. Has next and next methods. Has next will check for the next availability of the next element, and next will return the current element. Returning the current element means it will print the current element on the output screen, and it will move the cursor 1 element ahead. Okay, so that same thing we need to do inside the program. Has next we are checking, and here we need to print. So system dot out dot println of what is that, itr dot next. It will return the current element and move the cursor 1 element ahead. That's it. This is our array list implementation. We have implemented the data structure, we added the elements, we are accessing that elements as well. Just go and compile. As you can see, the compilation, it is successful. Then go and run. Yeah, we are getting the complete array list. You can see John, Albert, John, David, whatever elements we have added, all those elements we are seeing on the output screen. So in the same manner, you can execute the rest of the programs. Like we have linked list, we know the concept of linked list, but here in Java, it will maintain a doubly linked list. See here, we don't have the concept of singly linked list. It will maintain a doubly linked list. Concept of doubly linked list, we are already quite familiar with that one. Okay, doubly linked list in the sense we are going to have like this, the nodes, 3 parts. Okay, here also 3 parts. From here to here in the forward direction, from here to here in the backward direction. 2 links we are going to have between the nodes. So doubly linked list, here we are not doing the implementation. Just to remember that whenever we create a linked list class in our linked list class object in our program to implement a collection, it takes the doubly linked list example. Internally, it will use the doubly linked list to store the elements. Remember that one. Okay, yeah, it will also allow the duplicate elements, and it maintains the insertion order, and it is not synchronized. Okay, in linked list the manipulation is fast because no shifting is required. Okay, so here the implementation I have given, see, just like 5 to 6 lines of code, as I said in last semester, that whatever data structure we implement in Java, we will not write lines of code, rather it will go very short. Okay, so here you can see the best example. We have implemented the complete linked list in hardly, the rest of the lines they are common, right? So only we need to consider these lines. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. In 9 lines of code, I have the complete creation of linked list is over, storing the elements is over, and printing the elements is also over. Creation we performed, insertion we performed, and traversal also we performed. Okay, hopefully you understood. We have vector program. Okay, we have stack program. We have queue interface and different classes which are implementing the queue interface, like priority queue, dq it is an interface. Okay, then array dq, and priority queue class we have. For that we have an example program. Priority queue means we have the flexibility of accessing, or we have the flexibility of processing the queue elements based on the priority, not on first come first serve base. Rather we can go with priorities. We can give every element a particular priority, and based on that priority the elements will be processed. Okay, priority queues will play a major role in operating system implementation. Okay, where the jobs they needs to be given with priorities, and the jobs will need to be implemented with priorities, processed with priorities. Okay, so then we have the concept of dq. Okay, then array dq, the program, then set interface, hash set, linked hash set. All these are some of the examples. Then we have the dictionary and map. Okay, dictionary example, and finally the enumeration. Okay, the enumeration interface, it defines methods by which you can enumerate. So just check the meaning of this enumeration. Enumeration means having the collection or maintaining the collection. Okay, enumeration. The enumeration interface, it defines the methods by which you can enumerate, obtain one at a time, the elements in a collection of objects. So having the collection and taking one at any instance is nothing but enumeration. Okay, this legacy interface has been superseded by iterator. So before iterator, we can say, using iterator also, what we are doing, we are moving forward and backward inside an collection. So before this iterator, we have the concept of enumerator. Okay, and this enumerator, it is superseded by iterator, means whatever property we have in this enumerator, the same in more flexible way, or the same property in an advanced way, is supported by the iterator interface. Okay, although not deprecated, enumeration is considered absolute. Absolute in the sense no more in use. Absolute for new code. So if you are doing the advanced implementation like in Java 13 or any advanced framework you are using in order to implement your application, to do the creation of your application, your project, then you have to use this iterator rather than going with this enumerator, because it is deprecated. We are not saying deprecated, because the deprecation is something different. It is not yet deprecated, but it is absolute. Absolute in the sense no more in use. It is existing but no more in use. Existing in the sense, if you write a program using this concept, your Java virtual machine will support that one. Deprecated in the sense, your Java virtual machine will not support. Okay, your Java virtual machine will give an error that so and so method and so interface is deprecated. Deprecated in the sense not available, or a more advanced version is added by the Java community. The meaning of deprecation is a more advanced version is available, you use that one. So this enumerator interface, it is not deprecated, rather absolute. Absolute means it is existing but not using. Okay, nobody is using. However, it is used by several methods defined by the legacy classes, such as vector and properties. It is properties is used by several other API classes as well, and is currently in widespread use in application code. So even though it is not deprecated but absolute, still some people they are using in the because other classes they are implementing that method or that interface, so it is still in use. That's the reason the Java people, they have not deprecated this one. Okay, so here two of the important methods of the enumerator, which are very similar to your iterator. Has more elements, there we are using has next. Inside the iterator, what we are using has next, but here we are using has more elements. Has more elements, the job is same, it will check for the next element. Just now I have shown, if it is an enumerator, what it will do, it will check for the availability of the next element. If the next element is available, it will return true. If the next element is not available, it will return false. So has more elements will simply check for the availability of the next element. Next element method, what it will do, it will return the next element and move the pointer to the next element, or move the cursor to the next element, like that we can say. Okay, it returns the next object in the enumeration as a generic object reference. So you need to typecast to make it specific. It is returning a generic object, but we need to typecast to make it specific. Okay, here it is a simple example we have on enumerator. So here simply what we are doing, we have created an enumerator with name days. Okay, with name days we have created an enumerator, and in that enumerator, what we are doing, we are creating a vector day names, and in that day names we are adding all the days of the week, and using this vector, we are retrieving the elements and we are storing those elements inside the days enumerator, and finally we are printing with the help of has more elements and has next, sorry, next element methods. So we will simply practice this one on the IDE, on our IDE. So just go here and take the Java. Yeah, we need to add the util package. So as we are using only enumerator and enumeration class and the what we call, so enumeration, it is not a class, basically it is an interface, and vector is a class. Okay, we are using only two, a vector class and enumeration interface. So quickly go and check that one. Function home, enter. Yeah, here. Yeah, import the package, import. I'm not importing the complete package, rather I'm importing the specific class and specific interface. Import java dot util, sorry, not io, util dot what is that, vector class, I mean vector class. Then import another one, import java dot util dot, this time I'm importing the interface, that is enumeration. Okay, enumeration interface. So here class, what we are doing, we are performing the testing of this enumeration. So I'm giving the name enumeration demo, demonstration we are doing, enumeration demo. Control C and save the program with that same name. Okay, so here you put control V dot java, hit enter, program got saved. Now inside this program I need to create the vector first of all, because vector is a class and inside that class we can add the elements. Okay, and we are adding the days. Okay, days in a week. So vector, okay, day, okay, day names, day names we are adding. Okay, day names equals to, and that day names in the form of string we can add. Okay, so equals to new vector of. Okay, next add the different day names into this day names vector. So day names dot add of, add like Sunday. Okay, same thing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like that we will add. Control C, Sunday to Saturday. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday we have added Thursday and Friday, Saturday. Thursday, and we add Friday and Saturday also. Friday, and lastly the Saturday. Okay, so days we have added into the vector class, and now create the enumerator, enumeration. Okay, enu equals to, that's it, enumeration enu. Then put the I mean retrieve all the elements from this day names vector and put those elements into the uh, enumerator enu. Okay, enu. So here enu equals to day names dot elements. So this elements method, what it will do, whatever elements we have inside these day names, those elements will be retrieved and added into this enumerator. So now this enumerator can be used in order to process the, like iterator only, this enumerator can be used to process all the elements from this vector what we call the class. Okay, so here while of enu dot has more elements, has more elements of, as long as we have fresh, I mean more elements into the enumerator, you will not get any issue. Okay, if you are out of the elements inside this enumerator, simply what will happen, has more elements will return false and your loop will break. So inside the loop what we have to do, we need to print Okay, system dot out dot println. See, all the programs whatever we have inside this collections framework, all the programs are of this category only. We will store some collect a group of elements into the collection. First we create the collection object, and into that collection object we put different elements, group of elements, and we access those group of elements. That's it. Okay, out.println of what we have here. Yeah, we need to print the elements. Okay, from the enumerator dot next element. What it will do, it will return the current element, and it will uh, has more elements or element. Our method name, what it is, has more elements and next element. See the difference. That's I have written correctly only in my program. Has more elements and next element. Here s is there and here s is not there. Okay, like this. Close, close. Put the semicolon at the end. That's it. Okay. Yes. Simply now what we have to do, save this program, then go compile. Okay, it is saying because enumeration.java uses unchecked or unsafe operations. Recompile with xlink unchecked for details. Okay, here maybe this has more elements and next element methods. They are not properly supported by my Java. Okay, so that's the reason I'm getting that error. Okay, it is not saying I have issues in my program, rather it is saying me that I need to do with some other. See here, this option I need to use. Over there if you use this option, what it will say, it will say that so and so method got deprecated. Okay, I will show you xlint. Okay, recompile with xlint. Okay, first we will just I will go in a traditional way to without using this IDE. I will open the command prompt, and my programs where I saved. Okay, my programs where I saved is inside the, let me just go to the desktop, discard, minimize, this also you minimize, this also you minimize. Inside this CSIT I saved all my programs. So this I will copy the path, go here, cd space, okay, not two times, only one time is enough, hit enter. Yeah, in this location I have my program, that is enumerator demo, enumeration demo, java c dot enumeration demo dot java, hit enter. Yeah, it is giving that x hyphen xlint for unchecked for details. See here, it is giving me errors. Vector for new type vector. Acha, we forgot to process the name over here. Okay, so string, when you are creating, generally it has to take by default, but it is not taking. So let me just put here string like this, and here also same thing, put string. Now you go here and do the compilation. Okay, few got I mean few errors we got less. Okay, for some reason it is not getting executed. So the concept is same, enumerator concept, it is same for whatever concept I explained over here, it is same for. different things. Okay. So with this concept, I will conclude my class, and afterwards we will see. I mean, in our next class we will see about servlets and other stuff. Okay.